Hey everyone, I'm Arrowhead, and for FGO's 10th anniversary, I wanted to look back at some of the facts and trivia from the last 10 years. While there are some facts that are spoilers for later parts of the game's story, I've specifically marked them in the timeline so they can be avoided if you still want to see the rest of the video. Facts 1 through 67 have very minor spoilers, if any, for any chapter prior to Lostbelt 6. Without further ado, fact number 1. According to an interview with Kinoko Nasu, the game was originally expected to have the story end in 2015 and the end of service in 2016. If the fact that I'm making this video didn't clue you in, things didn't go as planned. In my opinion, for the better. Fact number 2. Back on January 1st, 2017, a very short amount of time before her banner released, Musashi was actually leaked by the in-game loading screen slides that describe information about various characters. Fact number 3. Merlin was actually nerfed a little before his release. When he was first playable in Babylonia, in addition to all of his other NP effects, he also had a flat heel that was removed when he was released. Fact number 4. Bedivere, despite having a summer sprite shown in the third summer event, still has yet to receive his summer outfit in spite of the fact that every other knight of the Round Table has gotten theirs. Even Gareth and Percival, who were released years after he was. Fact number 5. In Tsukihime, CL-sensei gives you tips on how to avoid bad ends, a job she continues in FGO through her My Room lines, which give you tips on how to avoid bad ends from certain Valentine scenes. Fact number 6. Mashu's original third skill was Battle Continuation, aka Guts, but once you actually ascend her, it becomes a taunt instead. Fact number 7. Camelot was greatly inspired by a Maya Sakamoto song called Replica that Kinoko Nasu heard while at one of her concerts. He then rewrote a large amount of Camelot, namely the ending and various things related to Bedivere. Fact number 8. Some characters, like Aoko and the Saber version of Shiki, have some of their attacks lifted from their appearances in the Melty Blood games. Fact number 9. While FGO doesn't have collab events with properties outside the Nasuverse, Kinoko Nasu said in an interview that if he were to do one, he'd want it to be with a From Software game. In particular, he has thoughts of what an SSR Hunter would do for their noble phantasm. Fact number 10. The concept for Mashu as a character was reused from scrapped plans for a character like her back in Fate Stay Night. She would have been an original character added to a movie adaptation of the VN by Studio Dean, with her role essentially being a violent dark mirror to Shiro who shares his trauma but came out worse after being resurrected to fight in the Holy Grail War. Fact number 11. While every class in the game normally has a portrait representing their class on the back of their card, the Shielder class does not. Even in official promotions with other card backs, there is no official design for Shielders specifically. Fact number 12. When Kiara Sesyoin, the evil horny nun, was going to be implemented into FGO, her illustrator, Wada Arko, sent in 3 designs for her final ascension before one was picked. They were, and I quote, an ordinary wide leg spread, or a naked portable shrine in space, or a cross-section view of a woman pregnant with the Earth. Now, while it's worth noting that she did say nothing was shown, these were all rejected for what I believe to be obvious reasons. Fact number 13. Speaking of Wada Arko, she and Takashi Takeuchi are currently tied for who has illustrated the most playable characters in the game at 40 each. Fact number 14. Airi's eyes looked kinda odd in one of her expressions, so they later removed the ability to see her eyes while they were closed. Fact number 15. Ayako Kawasumi, perhaps unsurprisingly, is the actress who has played the most playable characters in the game. Side note, I love that episode of Fujimaru Doesn't Get It where she played all the Artorias at once. It was fantastic stuff. Anyway. Fact number 16. Ayako Kawasumi is also the voice actress for Foe, the game's mascot. Fact number 17. When the Saber from Fate Strange Fake was released into FGO, his third ascension sparked a lot of discussion about whether it was a spoiler for the upcoming 10th volume of Fate Strange Fake. So much so, in fact, that Fate Strange Fake's author, Ryogo Narita, took to Twitter to assure people that it was just something made for FGO and wouldn't spoil Fate Strange Fake. Fact number 18. L'alter is the only time an alter of a character has been released before the version of the character they're an alter of.
Stay out of my territory.
Fact number 19. Zanzaburo, the giant robot that fights alongside Izumo no Okuni, is played by Mafia Kajita, who is the MC for many of FGO's live streams. Fact number 20. Napoleon was released shortly before Bastille Day back in 2018. This is a subtle reference to the fact that Napoleon is French. Fact number 21. The young and old versions of Li Shuwen have their classes in FGO swapped from how they were portrayed before the game. Previously, the young one was an assassin, as seen in Fate Extra, and the older one was a lancer, as seen in Fate Koha Ace. Fact number 22. Ptolemy actually appeared in a few different places prior to becoming playable in FGO. One of which being that he was featured as one of the soldiers in Ionioi Hitairoi in Fate Zero. Fact number 23. Morgan made a cameo in the Fate Apocrypha anime years before she was added to FGO. While her design is very similar, the biggest difference lies in how she's played by Aya Endo in Apocrypha, also known as the voice of Quetzalcoatl and Kogil, but in FGO she's played by Yui Ishikawa, who is the voice of Hakunon in the Fate Extra series. Fact number 24. Tiamat is the only playable former beast whose summonable form has Enema Elish nullification, but her beast form doesn't. Fact number 25. Domon was initially planned to be more of a mid-boss, but the sheer presence of the illustrations provided for him changed the way the writers viewed him, as well as his position in the story. Fact number 26. There was a typo in the Fate Requiem collab that had Voyagers say, Moro Chinsa, which I'm told is a slang word that means something like exposed schlong. Fact number 27. The Samurai Remnant collab was in active development before the game even released. So far ahead, in fact, that even the servants finished production prior to the game's release day. Fact number 28. The servant who has spent the longest time in NPC jail is Sita, who was shown in E Pluribus Unum and never made playable in the mobile game. However, since she was playable in arcade, I feel like I should at least mention the runner-up who was never made playable in any form anywhere. Agravain. As of July 25th, Agravain has spent 9 years in NPC jail. Fact number 29. Sasaki Kojiro gained fame early on in the game for how easily he cut down the Wyverns of Orleans while also being a completely free servant through the FP gacha. He became known as the savior of France in memes, and this made it into the game itself in the Prince of Slayercraft essence, which deals extra damage to dragon enemies and even mentions his efforts in France in the description. Fact number 30. While FGO has its fair share of scantily clad women, the craft essence Holy Maiden leading Chaldea actually shows Jeanne with more clothes than the woman in the painting it's based on, Liberty Leading the People by Eugene Delacroix. Fact number 31. The reason Karin doesn't wear her habit, as seen in other Fate entries like Hollow Ataraxia, in FGO is because her illustrator, Shizuki Mori, insisted that only Takeuchi be able to draw her like that. Fact number 32. If you didn't clear Lostbelt 3 by the time you played the summer camp event, Gu gets replaced by some other person with really cool glasses. Fact number 33. Long before Arcade turned this bug into a feature, there used to be a glitch where noble phantasms that changed the landscape temporarily, like UBW and Laos St. Claudius, would remain even after they were done being used. Fact number 34. Okita Alter is the only character whose actress changes when she equips her costume. She's normally played by Aoi Yuki, but her costume changes her into Rengoku, who is played by Yuichi Nakamura. Fact number 35. Saber Lily is the only welfare in the game to have come out before the event she wound up being a welfare for, in addition to being the first gold servant to be rollable from the friend point summons. Fact number 36. To my knowledge, this is anecdotal, It appears the odds of getting Angramanu in the Friend Point gacha is actually lower than the chance of getting an SSR in the normal gacha. Fact number 37. Archeria for short, had really good NP gain from the get-go, but apparently that was bugged. She and Summer Mordred, Summo for short, had their gain set much lower than it should have been, making Archeria, short for Archeria, into even more of a looping beast than she already was. Fact number 38. There is a lot of overlap between star attribute servants and servants with Enuma Elish nullification to the point where there are only 2 star servants that don't have it. Jean and Bedivere. Fact number 39. Castor and Pollux' actor and actress, Yuma and Maya Uchida respectively, are siblings in real life. Fact number 40. Some servants, like Kintoki, David, St. George, and Benkei, were all originally meant to appear in the scrapped Fate Apocrypha game. While they didn't make the cut when Fate Apocrypha was revamped into a light novel series, they were all quickly made available in FGO. Fact number 41. Jeanne d'Arc Alter Santa Lily was originally going to be normal Jalter as a Santa, but Nasu decided it needed more of a twist, so she was taken back to the drawing board and became Janta. Fact number 42. The only artist to have never missed a summer event is, unsurprisingly, Takeuchi, who has always done at least one servant or outfit. Fact number 43. Karna's original character designer was Paco, and he was also meant to appear in the cancelled Fate Apocrypha game. Although Karna did go on to be in the Fate Apocrypha series, the artist of the series was Konoe Totsugu, and he also appeared in Fate Extra CCC, where he was drawn by Wada Arco. But when he came to FGO, he was reunited with his original illustrator, Paco, who was happy for the chance to draw him himself. Fact number 44. Some servants hint at future characters coming through their profiles in the materials books. For example, Irisveal had a line listed for Rasputin that implied she didn't like him, and he first entered the story several months later. Fact number 45. Ironically, bronze welfare servants tend to have a full set of ascensions, but gold welfares that aren't Saber Lily only have one unique one. Fact number 46. Ilya was shown in the Karno Kyokai collab trailer wearing her Fate Stay Night attire. Not only does Ilya not have that outfit in the game, but it would take about another 7 months for any version of Ilya to enter the game. Fact number 47. In 2019, some fans took it upon themselves to make a whole animated promotional video for a Tsukihime collab for April Fools, complete with voiceover and music, and it looks pretty good, actually. Fact number 48. One of NekoArc's special moves in Melty Blood type Lumina is to roll the gacha in FGO with a chance to get Artoria to attack for her. Fact number 49. Funny Vamp was once said to be Arcwade's true class if she were summoned as a servant, and this is represented in FGO through one of her skills having the same name.
So that's why they call him Vamp. No, Vamp isn't for vampire, it's because he's bisexual.
Fact number 50. While it should come as no surprise that the most common class for Artoria variants is Saber, it may surprise you to learn that the second most common is Foreigner, and if you don't count Arthur as a version of her, Saber and Foreigner are actually tied at 3 each. Fact number 51. Ever since the artist's redrop drew the Street Choco Maid craft essence for Valentine's 2016, they made it a tradition to make a new version of it every year. Fact number 52. For the first 5 summer events, a character on one of the 4-star craft essences would always show up as a summer servant the following year. Helena was shown the first, Jean the second, Musashi the third, Murasaki the fourth, and Sei the fifth. While this didn't continue after summer 5, one must wonder, was this a mere coincidence since all of these characters were fairly popular? Or did it mean something more? Yeah, it was probably a coincidence. Fact number 53. Nobukatsu originally wasn't going to appear in Guda Guda 2, but Paco drew a design that Nasu liked so much that the event was rewritten to include him. Fact number 54. Going by in-game IDs, the first servant listed for every class are the main 7 from Fate Stay Night. Fact number 55. Speaking of the original Fate Stay Night servants, only 4 of the main 7 have had their base forms get an anniversary CE. Kojiro has been on 3, Artoria on 2, Herc on 2, and Medea on 1. Emiya, Ku, and Medusa's normal forms have never appeared on any. Note: I will not be held accountable for any changes at the anniversary event in a few days as of the time of this video. Fact number 56. The Chinese server of the game has had a few different rounds of censorship for various reasons. This has ranged from changing the character's card art to a slightly less spicy version, or straight up removing the card art or name of the character in favor of their class art or class name and in-game ID. Fact number 57. Durandal, as it was seen in Fate's Stay Night, has almost the same design when used by Roland or as the icon for attack up skills. However, it looks a bit different as the head of Hector's spear, being a completely different color. Fact number 58. Musashi claiming that she was Iori in the 4th Summer event was partially to set up Samurai Remnant. They had already made the concept for the story by that point, and they decided to release a story that brought up how Iori was Musashi's disciple. Fact number 59. While the Fate franchise in general was inspired by the novel Makai Tensho by Futaro Yamada, the Shimosa chapter of FGO in particular seems like a huge homage to it, featuring a new take on the story through FGO versions of the historical figures that appeared in the novel. Fact number 60. While normal Arcade is drawn by Takeuchi, Phantasmoon is drawn by Eri Takanashi, the author and illustrator of the comedy manga Take Moon, that was partially adapted into the legendary anime Carnival Phantasm. Fact number 61. Phantasmoon also uses Medea's staff in some of her attacks, as a callback to her character profile from years ago, which stated she stole it from Medea so she could be a magical girl. Fact number 62. At an early point in development, King Hassan was going to be obtainable by rolling and fusing 100 of any Hassan into him, but this was scrapped. Fact number 63. Typhon was leaked in YouTube ads shortly before she was revealed on the Wings of Tears event stream. Fact number 64. The first official picture where you could see both of Mashu's eyes was the Yakudo CD cover. It took us roughly 5 years to see both of her eyes. Fact number 65. Shimazaki Nobunaga, the actor for Gudao, aka Ritsuka Fujimaru, Dantes, and Arjuna dresses up as various characters when he goes to the stage events. One of the best being... Fact number 66. When you kill a non-scripted enemy with King Hassan's Noble Phantasm, they vanish from the field when the attack is over. No death lines, no fade-out animation. They're just... Fact number 67. Takeuchi didn't want to make another version of Kagatora for the simple reason that he thought her design was perfect as it was and couldn't think of other designs. And you know what? He's right, Kagatora's great. The next set of facts contain spoilers about Lostbelt 6. If you haven't played it, go have a fun 40 hours. If you have played it... Fact number 68. Reg Rabbit wasn't originally planned to be a part of Lostbelt 6. However, after thinking about how weird it would be to traverse all of Britain on foot, Nasu decided to add a vehicle to explain how we get around so quickly. That said, after we walked across all of America in E Pluribus Unum, surely the British Isles would be no challenge for us. Fact number 69. While Nasu wasn't planning on making Lostbelt 6 into a complex story, he felt a rush of inspiration upon seeing Oberon's design and oversized the story beyond the original scope. So much so that instead of having the script be done before the work on the rest of the chapter began, he had to send his progress in week by week as he completed it so they could work on it up to the deadline. Fact number 70. Back in 2022, there was an art book released called Avalon Le Fay Synopsis, which had a whole slew of information about the various drafts of Lostbelt 6's script. While the majority of the story appears to be very similar in the final release, there are a few notable differences. From stuff like a British version of Dyrmid showing up, and stuff related to the Green Knight, to an Idea B mentioned for Mashu's plotline that would have had her serving Morgan Le Fay as Fairy Knight Galahad after losing her memories. There's probably enough here to make a whole video discussing it, so I'll keep this brief, but I recommend checking it out if you're interested in a lot of the cut content. Fact number 71. Oberon's artist, Umino Chika, has a phobia for bugs, but she bought and examined a book on insects for the sake of drawing Oberon as well as she could. I think her dedication shows through the wonderful art she made for the game. Fact number 72. The story alone for Lostbelt 6 took 1.7 megabytes worth of hard drive space. Adding in extra bits like My Room lines, lore, and flavor text brings the total file size for the text to 1.9 megabytes total. Fact number 73. Beryl was supposed to use his command spells on himself during the fight with his wolf form, but due to programming constraints they had to axe that part. They even had voice lines recorded for him using them. Fact number 74. While everyone thinks of Takeuchi as the #1 Artoria fan, and he probably is, he first requested Nasu to let him make Summer Morgan, and only after that did he say he'd make Summer Castoria in return. A true man of the people. Fact number 75. Part of the reason Takeuchi pushed for having Naknaria as the welfare for Summer 8 was because he felt strongly for her after her death scene in Lostbelt 6 made him cry the hardest. Fact number 76. Fans noticed how fluffy and likable Karanos looked, so Aniplex produced a bunch of plushies of him. Fact number 77. Yakudo, the third opening for the game, is specifically about the story of Castoria and the struggles she persevered through. Fact number 78. Speaking of Yakudo, the animation for the third opening shows stuff like Rasputin and Muramasa fighting with Chaldea, but that scene never happened in the game. Nasu and Takeuchi didn't want to show too much spoilery information related to Lostbelt 6, so they told the staff to make whatever they wanted. Fact number 79. When Nasu got Choco, one of the artists who inspires him, to draw Melusine for Lostbelt 6, Nasu's stipulations on what she would look like were weird enough to cause him to question if he was really Nasu and whether or not he'd really be designing a Fate Servant. This set of facts contains spoilers about Lostbelt 7. It's to die for, so go give it a read. If you already have. Fact number 80. While some of the dinosaurs' battle sprites are almost exactly the same as their art in the cutscenes, some of them are actually pretty different, namely the Deinonychus. Fact number 81. Yu Olga is the only servant in the game who has lines for not using her noble phantasm when you try to. Fact number 82. Tennochi is the only 4-star and the only permanent servant to have a locked ascension. Fact number 83. Chemosots has a line in his boss battle where he says, "1 point. Focus on only 1 point," which is a reference to the way he beat Ort by piercing its core with his spear. Fact number 84. The sound effect that plays when the dinosaurs break one of Ort's bars is the same as when the Mystic Eyes of Death Perception activate in Melty Blood type Lumina. This helps drive home the reference of Teppo being Dinosaur Shiki. Fact number 85. If you play a specific part of Lostbelt 7 on Christmas Day, Kirei will wish you Merry Christmas instead of Good Morning. The next set of facts contains spoilers about Ordeal Call 2. Avenger? I barely know her. Go read it. Anyway, fact number 86. Nasu originally wanted to have all of the classes in a single Ordeal Call chapter, but decided to split it up into 1 chapter per class so they could be better represented. Fact number 87. When Jalter got her animation update for Ordeal Call 2's release, she had notable tattoos on her back in her 3rd ascension. While this is already different from her normal design, they later patched it out and the tattoos were gone. Fact number 88. Marie Alter's in-game servant tag is Avenger 13. Since Ranmaru is Avenger 12 and Summer Eris is Avenger 14, she likely entered development at some point in 2022 and was shelved until they had a place for her. Fact number 89. While Dante's original artist is Ruiko Matsuzaki of Danganronpa fame, his Super Dante's version is drawn by the artist of his drama CD, Usagi Roto. Fact number 90. Nasu and the writing team were originally going to make all of the Avengers data lost like Musashi, but the chapter writer wanted to leave a loophole open for the future so they might return. Fact number 91. Id is the first non-Nasu chapter to top the Famitsu Best Chapter poll. Our next set of facts cover Ordeal Call 3. Moon Cancer? I barely know her. Huh. Fact number 92. BB Dubai is the first summer servant to appear on a silhouette lineup. Additionally, she's the only servant to get 2 summer versions. Fact number 93. Nasu apparently wanted Summer Passionlip to be playable. Then he proceeded to make her the first ever NPC jail summer girl. Fact number 94. Kazura Drop can use one of her skills to change her class, but she can't change it to Shielder or any variety of beast. Fact number 95. Hakuno and Hakunon are the only servants with a natural 0-turn cooldown on a skill. Their first skill at level 10 can be used as long as they have at least 10% NP charge. Fact number 96. The final fight of Ordeal Call 3 is the first time in the game 2 Noble Phantasms have been used in tandem. This final set of facts is about Ordeal Call 4. Ruler? That's the name of a class. Fact number 97. While Ordeal Calls 2, 3, and 4 all feature new versions of the first servants of their class added to the game, Ordeal Call 1 was the only one that didn't have any servants that were already alter egos. Fact number 98. Some eagle-eyed players noticed that Lilith's design is a little different on release than it was when it was first revealed. Some changes include details like the number of spikes on her horns being different or missing leaf designs on her cloak. Fact number 99. Going back to Avalon LaFay's synopsis for a second, there was part of the alpha draft from 2018 that describes Mashu fighting Beryl and Galahad that ends with, "A paladin is born." Knowing what we know now from the end of Ordeal Call 4, this seems to imply that Mashu's paladin form was planned for Lostbelt 6 at some point before it was shelved until Ordeal Call 4. Fact number 100. Mashu is the only playable shielder in the game. Note: this may not be true anymore in the next couple of days. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, there's 100 fun facts and trivia about Fate Grand Order. You know, I've had a lot of fun with this game over the last 10 years. I'm not gonna say it was always perfect, I'm not gonna say I don't think things could be better, but I had fun with it. I like the characters, I like the story, the art is incredible, the music's great. I think Lostbelt 6 is among the best stuff Nasu has ever written for the franchise. Really, there's just a lot to like about it. And whether the story ends this December or goes on to Part 3, I'm sure I'll enjoy it too. Either way, I've been Arrowhead, and I'd like to wish a happy 10th anniversary to FGO.